When it comes to Geometry Dash, the more experienced creators typically have various design choices and building techniques that make their work stand out as their own. For example, Shockcidian makes use of black and white in such a way that makes his other colors pop, while usually sticking to a more classic style of design. Majako uses tons of objects in intricate ways to create elaborate block designs and structures, and Hines uses eye-catching color combinations and structures to give his levels his iconic look. What all these creators have in common is a unique creating style. However, the creator I want to talk about today has their own unique art style. An art style is typically not something you would expect out of a 2D platformer, but there have been a handful of creators over the years who have managed to push the boundaries of the GD editor with various forms of art of such quality that it's oftentimes hard to believe how it was made in the GD editor in the first place. Creators such as Xylonox, Kiwi, and Rafer are all great examples of this, but in my personal opinion, there's a creator who manages to stand out among this super talented lineup for not only his mastery of a unique art style, but also an adept prowess with animation, and a story seen pretty much nowhere else in this game. And that creator is YoReid. Now, I could do a whole ass video essay on why YoReid is easily one of the most groundbreaking art creators out there right now, but seeing that I've literally never done one before, it would probably be boring as hell, so instead I'll just rank all of their levels from worst to best and give my thoughts on each and every single one of them. Also to know, I beat all these. It was painful. I did it all on 60 FPS, so my gameplay opinion might be different from you high refresh rate players out there. Alright, with that said, let's fucking get into it, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so at the bottom here, we have White Hole. Now, there's really not much to say about this one. It was made for the kind of low object trend that was going around at the time. This one was made in 29 objects, which is really cool, but there's really no substance here. It's got some mild progression, like, it goes from a spider to a ball, and there's some spinny shit, and then there's more spinny shit. And there's that, and there's some irritating gameplay. That's literally all there is to this one. It's cool for what it is, but what it is pretty much nothing. In the number 9 spot, we have Raw Rhythm, which is unique in that it's the only mega collab YoReid has ever hosted. And I actually think the theme of this one is really cool. It's supposed to be themed around the beat of the music, and it even says at the start of the level, focus on the song, not the gameplay. And this is a cool theme, but it's just unfortunately executed not well, really not that well. Some parts sync really well to the music, and some parts just don't. There's some frustrating gameplay in the latter half. There's a few late orbs that just don't work. I think the decoration is alright. It's nothing special. YoReid's part obviously is probably one of the best parts, and there's just some parts that just look generic, and I'm not a big fan of this one. Scourge of the Runes is a very, very, very solid first level for YoReid. I definitely wasn't making anything this good when I first started creating, and I think it goes to show how talented this guy is. Anyways, this is it's got a mysterious yet engaging theme, and it's got a relatively well executed boss fight. I say relatively well because there are so many shit boss fights out there that just do not work whatsoever, so this one, it's just, you fly around, you dodge some stuff, but it's really not that bad. I think the gameplay in the pre-drop was pretty annoying to get consistent with, and there were several blind transitions in the middle of the level. It's also quite unoptimized. It's got 160,000 objects, but I was beating this on 60 frames, so honestly, the optimization really didn't matter, but for you high refresh rate players out there, you might be experiencing some frame drops. Hive Mind is essentially Scourge of the Runes, but better. Overall, I like the designs and art more, and the theming feels more coherent throughout the level. The gameplay is shockingly quite fun and readable, save for a blind transition after the first phase of the once again well-executed boss fight. At number 6 we have Falling Maze, and oh my fucking god, dude, here we fucking go. Falling Maze is minigame. It's YoReid's first minigame, and for a first minigame, holy shit, this is really, really impressive. It's honestly quite hard to grasp just how this was made in the GD editor, and it's so cool. Okay, now, all those praises aside, the controls in this level, oh my god, they are super buggy and unresponsive. YoReid decided that it would be a fantastic idea to give the cube, or not the cube, the sprite, whatever you want to call it, momentum, meaning when you click to go a certain direction, instead of just immediately going that way, the sprite has to speed up, and when you let go, it slows down. Kind of just, I guess it's like a racing game, kind of. But this combined with the super precise maneuvering required in the later stages just makes for an overall frustrating time. I think the design on this level is really cool. It's got like that kind of indie game feel, which is explored further on in YoReid's later levels. I think it's really cool, but it's also shockingly unoptimized. If you are not playing on 60 frames, you will not only be able to not play this because the controls bug on high refresh rates, but you will also not be able to play it because it is just super laggy because all the collision blocks are literally moving all the time, which is just why would you do that? Tunneling Vermin is already a good enough level on its own, but what makes this level truly exceptional is the harsh creating limitations brought on by the creator contest this was built for, as well as additional restrictions set by YoReid himself because apparently it wasn't enough of a challenge. This was built for the Jam Attack Pixel Perfect Creator Contest, which basically, among other things, made it so you weren't allowed to use kind of unique colors. There was a preset ones. All your movement times had to be 0, and a bunch of other stuff, which would be, I don't want to list them right now. Anyways, the colors here are just staggeringly good, despite Jam Attack claiming the colors were very much not curated. And the gameplay here is just unconventional enough to the point where it's unique while remaining easy enough to learn and be extremely fun. I highly recommend this one, and I think everybody here should check it out, and it also has a Nong, so minus points because Nongs are stupid. Beat Demon is where YoReid's creativity and knowledge of animations allowed him to stand out among the rest and create an awesome level chock full of personality and atmosphere, all while being extremely fun to learn and play. This level feels one of a kind with all the very clean animations and smooth movements that match the chaotic energy of the song perfectly. I especially love how YoReid described the Beat Demon as an entity that doesn't want to specifically attack you, but rather just harass the player through various means. Little details like that are just so awesome to include, and I seriously hope YoReid continues to add subtle details like that in levels to come. If Beat Demon is where YoReid mastered animations in GD, Thorns and Brambles is where he mastered his iconic indie art style used throughout his newer levels. This level feels super immersive and lively with all the movements and assets used to convey the feeling of traversing a dangerous environment. This is immersion that only a fraction of levels even come close to achieving. The gameplay in this level is very fast-paced and takes time to learn, but it becomes satisfying and consistent when you eventually get the click pattern down. I do think there are some parts in the middle of this level that are definitely the hardest, and it did become slightly annoying to try to get past them. That is until I figured out that I was doing the duel completely wrong, and I got yelled at by YoReid, and it felt awful. Well, anyways, this is overall an incredible level, and I think you guys should check this one out. Up next is the Sulfur Sea, and this is the only level of YoReid's to be themed around a video game, that being Terraria. Now, there have been Terraria-themed levels in the past, but none have been quite as unique and immersive as this. Okay, obviously with the exception of the world level. That level is like incredibly amazing and everybody should play it. Anyways, while most themed levels try to capture the represented game as a whole, YoReid chose to stick to just a single aspect of a mod of the main game, that being the Sulfur Sea biome from the Calamity mod. I've never played Calamity. I know a lot of people have, so a lot of people will immediately recognize the kind of theming YoReid's trying to go for here. Anyways, I think YoReid executed the designs and art perfectly and somehow managed to pick literally just the best song to match the serene feeling of the ocean and the intense, action-packed gameplay that's in the abyss once you hit the drop. This level is far and away the most difficult of all the YoReid levels, and as such I have a lot to say about the gameplay. I will note that I completed this level on 60 frames, and it's very apparent that some of the gameplay was not made to be super 60 frame friendly, such as the mini-wave at 32%. I mean, look at this, what the fuck? Anyways, besides that, dude, this gameplay it's so good. It's so good. It's noticeably more learny than his other levels, but I think it's equally more satisfying and fun to pull off. And to cap it all off, there is a randomized motherfucking boss fight that is somehow super consistent. I don't know how we did it. It's really fun. It's easy to read. There are some parts at the end, like these kind of ice ball things, just those are random too, but they just feel super weird to dodge. Sometimes you get close to them and you don't get hit by them at all. Sometimes you're like really far away and they just manage to nick you. Anyways, besides that, that's like literally my only nitpick of this level. Anyways, I think you should definitely check this one out if you have the skill for it, because I think is it on the GDDP? It might be. Anyways, yeah, this level's awesome. At the top of the list, we have the one, the only floating maze. And for YoReid's second minigame, I don't know how the fuck how did he do this? This is easily the best minigame in this game. Like, it is not even a competition. I think this level could absolutely be its own indie game on Steam. It's just that good. The combination of YoReid's unique art style and his mastery of animations come together to craft possibly one of, if not the most immersive and standout experiences this game has to offer. And this level is a fucking minigame on top of all of that. How do you make the best level of all time? Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This is the best level right now, and it's a fucking minigame. I don't even... that makes no sense. Anyways, the reason Falling Maze struggled to place higher on the list is due entirely to the unresponsive controls, which leads to inconsistency and frustration, combined with the super precise maneuvering required. And this time, there are absolutely zero bugs. Well, actually, that's not true. There are some bugs with the controls, but it all has to do with the jump mechanic, which, for whatever reason, is very, very specific on when you can actually jump. It's something that it's not immediately apparent, but after you've been playing for a while, it definitely becomes more noticeable how sometimes you can't jump after holding for too long. And it takes some time to getting used to, but it's very, very easy to understand once you understand it. The movement this time of the sprite has no momentum, meaning that you're already moving at like your top speed the second you push the move button, which I think is absolutely the best decision for this. And it allows for ultra precise maneuvering of the sprite throughout the various hazards each of the 5 unique stages has to throw at you. Speaking of the stages, each one has a different interactive gimmick you have to work around, and they fortunately all feel very consistent in difficulty, with the exception of the final stage being just a bit tougher to add an unhealthy amount of suspense to the final few inputs. This level is just a truly transcendent experience, and I cannot recommend it enough. So that's my super awesome ranking of all the YoReid levels. I had a fun time playing all of these. Okay, I had a fun time playing most of these. Some of the levels at the bottom of the list were not that fun to play, but that's besides the point. You should play these levels. YoReid, I think, is probably one of the best, if not the best creators out there right now. He's definitely my favorite. Anyways, if you have a differing opinion on how these levels should place, too bad. This is my list. I have my opinions. You have your opinions. You can't do anything about it other than leaving a comment down in the comments below about how you disagree with me. But, yeah, okay, thanks for watching. My name's been Aimbotter, and I am absolutely fucking terrified for floating outskirts.